Hello, hello. Julie here. And I know what you're thinking. What in the world could be better than jelly gouache? It's a tough one to beat for sure. Seriously though, the HIMI slash MIYA jelly gouache sets have made good quality, fun to use gouache so much more accessible to us broke artists alike. And for that, I'll forever be appreciative. They actually did help me rediscover my love for gouache, or maybe discover it, period. And I don't think I would have had the same experience with gouache and the same positive feelings towards it had I relied on tubed gouache. I know it sounds weird, but just having all the paints laid out there, it just made it so easy. Having high quality paints that were super affordable. Oh my goodness. I truly, without the discovery of jelly gouache, I don't think I would have enjoyed using gouache as much as I do now. Anyways, we'll get to that. My first experience with gouache was a rough one. I was scarred, in all honesty, and I wrote gouache off as something that just wasn't for me. You know, the old, it's not about my clear lack of skill, it's definitely the supply. Granted, the gouache I used wasn't really good. I think the brand was like Holbein, something like that. I'm kidding, it was Reeves. It was Reeves, and I've long given them away, but I still remember struggling really bad with them. And you know what? I don't think painting gouache portraits is within my skill set to this day. I've gotten fairly confident with watercolors, but I'm starting to realize just how difficult each medium is to learn. Like, there's always going to be a learning curve, and it's naive to think that you'll just pick something up straight away. I mean, I'm sure people have done that and have succeeded in it, but you know, it's not in me. It's not in me, and that's okay. I think the difference is when you're learning to build your art skills in general, you go in expecting your work to end up being kind of ugly. But then when you get better at art in general and then switch mediums entirely, there's more of an expectation of a base level of skill and picking it up a lot more easily. And I think that's something that I personally need to work on curbing, because I feel like every new medium I try just knocks down my confidence. That's definitely a me issue. Anyways, tangent aside, maybe I'll just stick to watercolors for the rest of my life. That actually sounds like a pretty good life. Anyways, ever since reviving my HIMI Arctic gouache sets, I've gotten to enjoy using them a lot more. And I truly didn't think they would climb the ranks to become one of my favorite mediums. But hey, here we are. While I was situated in South Korea, I decided to film a Daiso haul video. And at the time, I actually thought Daiso was a Korean shop. It's so popular over there, I forgot that it's actually Japanese. And we have a few locations here in Vancouver. Like, I knew it was Japanese, but then I went to Korea and just rewrote the narrative at some point. Anyways, I wanted to pick up some unique items that I haven't seen locally here in Canada so that I could film a video about them and also take home some nice arty souvenirs. One of the items I brought back with me was the set of poster paints. Now, I thought this would be similar to children's tempera paints because I bought paints that were packaged similarly while in Brazil, and they ended up being these really chunky, crappy tempera paints that I didn't even know how to use them. And before I continue, listen, I am not some world traveler. I wish I were, I'm not. I lived and worked in Korea for a couple of years as a result of feeling a little bogged down and crazy during COVID. I also have family in South America, so I go down to visit. My mama is from Southeast Asia. My boyfriend is from the UK. It's a whole blend. It's interesting. I was also born in Canada, so there's a lot going on. I don't really travel for fun. I travel to work and to see people. I'm still very lucky, mind you, but don't think I'm always on vacation. I'm not. To my very pleasant surprise, the poster paints that I picked up at Daiso ended up being nothing like tempera paints, thank goodness, and everything like jelly gouache. The way they dried flat and matte, the way they re-wet, the way they interacted with one another, 1000% identical to jelly gouache. While doing some research into the difference between the two supplies, this is what I've learned. Number one, The pigment particles of poster paints are larger than those in gouache, meaning the mulling/mixing stage is shorter, I'm assuming. That is my interpretation, at least. Number 2, poster paints are not as long-lasting. They're not typically light fast, and the color fades over time. These paints are meant to be used and scanned straight away. They're not made to be used on gallery pieces or wall art. And number 3, all of this means that poster paints are a lot cheaper to make, while still sharing many identical properties to gouache. Fun fact, a lot of the background art you see in Studio Ghibli films were created using poster paints. And art conspiracy alert, I actually believe that our beloved jelly gouache are poster paints in disguise. I don't actually think there's a way to properly differentiate the two. It's not like you could measure pigment particle size and determine which category they belong to, because I'm sure student grade or lower quality gouache has larger pigment particles than artist grade gouache. I mean, I'm assuming, right? That would make sense. So what's to say that the student grade gouache aren't actually secretly poster paints in a tube? Especially considering how similar they are. And I will show you right now, side by side, poster paints, jelly gouache. Does that not look exactly the same? Come on, come on. Jelly gouache, as we know, is ridiculously affordable at $27, including tax, for 18 paints. Each little jelly tub is about $1.50 Canadian. That is wild, considering how great these paints are. Jelly gouache is also not light fast, as shown in many experiments posted online. Remember, kids, always trust what's posted on the interweb. But student grade gouache also isn't light fast. Basically, there are a lot of factors at play, and I've decided to deem it impossible to actually define the two different types of paints and put them in proper categories, because there are just too many things to consider. The thing is, gouache is of course more well known than poster paints. So if the factory behind HIMI, MIYA, Artix, or any other brand of jelly gouache was secretly making poster paints, why not advertise them as gouache? Especially if they're almost impossible to distinguish. Okay, anyways, I'll get off my soapbox. I'll remove this tinfoil hat of mine, but let me know your thoughts. And I truly hope this doesn't keep you up at night. And if it does, I'm sorry, but also same. Okay, this set of 12 poster paints I picked up from Daiso in Korea cost me about $5, which means each tub of paint is less than 50 cents. There were only the 12 colors, so there were no other color options. But I mean, you mix these all together and you'll have hundreds of colors to choose from. I think the greatest appeal of these jelly-like paints, whether they be gouache or poster paints, is the fact that you can lay them all out in front of you, scoop up what you need, and close the rest. So much more convenient to use. And it makes for super easy cleanup. If you scoop out too much paint by accident, just scoop it back in. You can't really do that with the tubed version of gouache. And that's the beauty of a little innovation. The standard packaging of poster paints is in little tubs. So whether my conspiracy holds true, it doesn't really matter. The jelly gouache craze has made painting with gouache accessible and so much easier. Also way more convenient, especially to someone like me who's had a pretty bad experience with gouache to start and didn't go near it again for at least a couple of years. Hey, it's time for a segue. Do you see that? Do you see how I've just given up on smooth transition? I can't. I'm done. I'm tired, guys. Do you know those days when you're just not in the mood to create? When you don't want to think or feel or even breathe? Okay, hold on. Hold on. That's not what I meant. You just want to be a potato. This is where these gorgeous, gorgeous Korean coloring books come in. And these are leaps and bounds ahead of the typical American-style coloring books with all of the super fine, tiny little details, the ones that I personally find incredibly stressful and tedious. No, I'm talking beautiful pieces that only have the necessary details to make for a finished work of art. I'm talking finished artwork on one side, line art on the other. The finished art to act as a reference of sorts if you're in the mood to replicate, or merely inspiration if you want to take the coloring in your own direction. I find myself reaching for this coloring book when I'm in the former mood. I just want to shut my brain off and paint, trying to get my piece as close as possible to the original. Sometimes I'll do this in my own sketchbook too, like I'll draw out a bunch of pieces and then when I'm ready to paint, at least I have the line art ready to go. Because sometimes we're in different creative moods. I just fell in love with the art style of this coloring book. And better yet, the pages are deliciously thick. This book was made for gouache. I mean, the artist herself is a gouache artist who decided to showcase gouache pieces, so it makes sense that the pages can handle this medium. The book also lays perfectly flat, making for very easy painting. Man, I love Korean coloring books so much. They truly are beautiful. I found the exercise of color matching and painting within the lines to be quite therapeutic. It was nice to go into a piece and know exactly how it would turn out. It was a long day and I really wasn't in the mood for any surprises. Overall, I love these poster paints, equally to the amount that I love my Jelly Gouache post-revive. And I could see myself using them often, especially when I want to challenge my color theory knowledge since there are only 12 colors to pick from. Let me know what your thoughts are on this art piece. Have you worked with poster paints before? Do you think Jelly Gouache is actually poster paint in disguise? Also, conspiracy theory number 2, what are your thoughts on those Artix acrylic markers? And do you think they're actually watered down Jelly Gouache in a brush? I've never actually used them before, but the end result does kind of look like gouache, does it not? Also, these markers, even though they're acrylic, they are water-based. Think about that for a second. Also, hold on, do you have any art conspiracy theories? If you do, let me know. We can sport our tinfoil hats together. We can rock this look. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. Do whatever your beautiful heart desires. And before I sign off, I want to shout out Creepy Waffles 4783 for your comment on one of my previous videos about testing art supplies bought from Facebook Marketplace. Your words really made me smile, so I'll read it out. Quote, I was just thinking about you yesterday and this morning and was sad I couldn't remember your name. YouTube finally came through recommending this to me tonight. Good video as always. End quote. Thank you for such a kind and lovely comment. You really truly did make my day. I really appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed this video and until next time, stay creative. Peace.